Hello, this is Daniel Mart, and today I'm going to be doing another review. This time around, I'm going to be doing a review for all of Season 5 of The Walking Dead, Season 5. So yeah, it's 16 episodes, and in order, episodes 1 through 16, it's No Sanctuary, Strangers, Four Walls and a Roof, Slab Town, Self-Help, Consumed, Crossed, and Coda. And then you also have what's happened and what's going on, them, the distance, remember, forget, spend, try, and conquer. So yeah, now season 5, sorry, stars Andrew Lincoln, Norman Reedus, Stephen Yeun, Norman Cohen, Chandler Riggs, Danai Gowdy, Melissa McBride, Michael Cutlett, Emily Kinney, Chad Coleman, and Sequoia Martin Green, Lawrence Sklar Jr., Josh McDermott, Christian Serratos, Alana Masterson, Seth Gilliam, Andrew J. West, Christine Woods, Lily James, Tyler James Williams, Alexander Breckenridger, Ross Marquardt, and Stephen Coulter, Daniel Banjour. Let's see. Is there anybody else afterwards who's actually important? Robin Lord Taylor in a small role in the first episode, who now plays in Penguin in Gotham, by the way. Denise Crosby, Chris Coy. I'm just trying to see who are some of the major actors and actresses in this season. Let's see. No, wait. Michael Traynor, I want to say that. Jordan Woods Robinson, Caitlin Nanko, Anne Mahoney, Elijah Marcano, and Charlotte and Clara Ward. Melissa Punzil, Brandon Carroll in a small role. Drake Ethan Light in a smaller role. Timothy Scott in a small role. And yeah, basically that's it for the cast. I just wanted to make sure it's all thorough. Because yeah, my reviews are always thorough. So yeah, before I begin though, 10-second spoiler warning as usual for those who have yet to actually watch any of the 16 episodes, which I'm gonna go over again. No Sanctuary, Strangers, Four Walls and a Roof, Slab Town, Self-Help, Consumed, Crossed, Coda, what's happened and what's going on, them. Episode 11 is the distance, remember, forget, spend, try, and conquer. So yeah, before I begin, though, 10-second spoiler warning for those who have yet to actually watch one of the episodes or haven't caught up fully to on the season. Stop the video, go check it out, and then come back and watch the rest of this review. 10-second spoiler warning as usual, starting now. Okay, so 10 seconds are up. So for those who have yet to actually watch this season in full, in its entirety, for those who have actually yet to actually watch the season in its entirety and haven't done already, please don't comment down below or be messaging me. Then I can give you a fair warning, because as usual I did. So as usual, quick synopsis. Well, actually I'm gonna try. Since this is a season review, the synopsis for this season is gonna be a bit more in depth. Maybe talk about some of the episodes a bit more in depth than others. So I am going to do the synopsis as usual. My likes and dislikes and then the rates. So basically, it starts off as season 4 ended. They're in Termites, they're stuck in a train cart, and you have Rick, Glenn, Bob, and Daryl, and they're taken out, so they could be butchered basically for food. They meet, Rick recognizes Sam, the guy from season 4 with a limp leg, who now plays Penguin on Gotham. They recognize each other, and that guy's immediately killed off in one of the most gruesome ways possible. Hit with a bat, and then, yeah, and by the way, slicing people's necks was a major thing this season. We had, like, what, 5 people with, actually, no, because, yeah, we had 4 people with a sliced neck in the first episode alone. 2 people stabbed in the neck, and then we have, like, at least 3 other people, with a sliced neck by the end of the season. So yeah, basically they made one of the best escapes out of Terminus. You know, Carol went ramble on them. She was shooting up Terminus survivors, shooting up zombies. It was just one of the best things ever. Then we kind of get to meet Father Gabriel, one of the worst survivors in The Walking Dead. And yeah, this season we've met some of the worst survivors of The Walking Dead, which I'll get to later. To meet Father Gabriel, now they have to deal with the cannibals, and Father Gabriel, with each other. They end up killing the cannibals. Gareth and the cannibals, played by Andrew J. West. Gareth was. So yeah, Gareth, he's killed off in the church, and this really affects Father Gabriel and his character throughout the whole season. So yeah, and then you have Daryl and Carol, and they go to Atlanta to see if they can rescue Beth. Carol gets ran over, and they find Noah instead. So Noah and Daryl, they go back to the church. Now you have Abraham, Rosita, Eugene, Glenn, Tara, and Maggie, and they all decide to go off to Washington D.C. On their way there, they almost ran into this major horde, and Eugene says that he has been lying this whole time. There's never been a cure. There's never been anything such as this. The only reason he wanted to go to Washington D.C. is because that's the most likely place. That's the most safest, basically. So they do end up going back. Now you have Rick in the group. You have Rick, you have Rick, Tyreese, Daryl, Noah, Sasha, Carol's already gone. We have most of the survivors, everybody except for Carl, Judith, Michonne, and Father Gabriel. They all stay in the church, and while at the church, there's a bunch of zombies who come up to the door of the church because Father Gabriel decided to sneak out and see where Bob was cut up. So when he comes back, he drags a bunch of walkers to their doorsteps. You have Abraham and his group who managed to get up until the front doors of the church and rescue Father Gabriel and company. While in Atlanta, you have Beth, and she's stuck in this hospital, Great Memorial Hospital, where Noah would previously stayed, and they had kind of a flashback episode, which I really did enjoy, actually more than what it seems to be most people. Many people thought it was an okay episode or whatever. I actually kind of enjoyed it. We had the introduction of Noah and see what happened, what has happened to Beth since then. She kills a guy in like the first 2 episodes that she's introduced, which was pretty cool. I mean, yes, he kind of deserved it because he was kind of a rapist, but yeah, it's pretty funny. So yeah, Beth, she's basically been in the hospital this whole time. You have Rick, and Rick now knows that Beth is in the hospital. So in order to do that, they lure a couple officers. They have to kill one of the officers to get 2 of the officers, and decide to do a trade. Carol and Beth for 2 of these officers. So yeah, but Dawn, who is the main leader of the officers at the hospital, she says that she needs Noah back since one of her officers died. Noah says, okay, I'll go back, even though I don't want to. And Beth hugs Noah as a goodbye type of thing, and she says, I knew you'd be back. That's when Beth stabs Dawn, and Beth dies at the end of Coda. And Bob at this point is also dead. I forgot to mention, because Bob's leg was cut off and blood loss, basically, that's all I can say. And he was bitten also at a food run. So at this point, Bob and Beth are gone. Now we have episode 9. After the break, what's happening, what's going on. Tyreese is killed off almost immediately. Basically, Noah, they decide to go to Noah's house. It's been 17 weeks since episodes 8 and 9. Not 17 weeks, 17 days since episodes 8 and 9. And they're basically trying to find where Noah's house was to see if they could hold up there, live there. It turns out it's been overrun by these people who seem to carve W's into walkers, the wolves, as it seems. Tyreese is killed off immediately in that episode. Basically, he gets bit, and one of the most gruesome deaths, I want to say, because he gets bit right here. He's hallucinating, and during his hallucinations, halfway through one of his hallucinations, a walker comes up to him. And he's trying to get this, like a book, or not a book, sorry, he got one of those rocks, one of those memorabilia rocks, or souvenir rocks that they sell with the gems or whatnot, and he's putting his hand right up to the walker, and the walker just decides to bite him again. So now that's 2 bites. He does kill the walker eventually, and yeah, and then Rick has the idea, because it's Rick, Glenn, Michonne, Noah, and Tyreese. They all have the idea, and they decide to cut Tyreese's arm off. So he's been bitten twice. He has his arm cut off afterwards, and he's hallucinating, and then he dies. And yeah, I thought it was actually a pretty good episode when I first watched it, but it doesn't really have that much of a rewatchability factor in my opinion. Um, so yeah, then afterwards they're just surviving a bit out in the wild. And then you get the introduction of Aaron and what's going on with him. Basically, the introduction to Alexandria, Aaron, and eventually the Wolves. Um, which is just pretty cool. We do get the introduction to Alexandria, and then we get maybe the worst episode of The Walking Dead in my opinion. Probably the worst episode of The Walking Dead in my opinion, which I would have to say is episode 12, Remember. Oh my gosh, did I hate this episode. Oh my gosh, did I hate this episode. Oh my fucking gosh, did I hate this episode. It was such a piece of shit episode. It was so boring. It was so bland. It was so boring. It was just dumb. That was just a dumb episode. Also, dumb episode. It was just boring as hell. Basically, they're trying to settle into Alexandria, but I just didn't give a shit about Alexandria. In the comics, in the comics when we were first introduced into Alexandria, I'm not gonna say you care for Alexandria, but you do find it as an interesting place. Here, you find it as a somewhat interesting place. You know, how the fuck is it that these people are still alive and they barely know jack shit? But it's just done so blandly. It's just so boring and bland. And it's directed by Greg Nicotero, which is the worst part, because he's directed some of the best episodes of Walking Dead. Judge, Jury, Executioner, No Sanctuary, After, Us, 30 Days Without an Accident, Sorrowful Life, Into Judas, Say the Word, and then he directed Conquer, which is the season final, but then he directs Remember, which is like the worst episode ever of this season. So yeah, basically they're trying to settlerize into Alexandria. So yeah, at this point you have Bob, you have Beth, and you have Tyreese dead. Who else are they gonna kill off? Who the hell else are they gonna kill off? Obviously, another token black guy, Noah. So yeah, Aiden and Noah. Aiden is one of the new survivors from this Alexandria group. Aiden and Noah. You have Aiden, Noah, Nicholas, and Glenn and Tara and Eugene. They all decide to go on the run. Aiden and Noah are killed off. Noah in another gruesome death. He's basically him and Glenn. They were really close. They built up this really cool connection, and then to be torn apart, like literally and metaphorically, it was just incredible. Because they're in this revolving door of death, basically is what I want to call it. So they're both there. They're both. You have Nicholas on one side because it's a four-sided revolving door. So you have Nicholas on one side and Glenn and Noah in the other side. Nicholas, being the piece of shit survivor he manages to squirm out, and Noah in the process is killed off. And Glenn can't do anything about it because he is separated 3 inches away by this window pane, and Noah's literally just devoured in front of him. And I really do like that episode. I forget which. I believe that is episode. That's Spend. That should be Spend. Episode 14, Spend. And yeah, what was I gonna say? I lost for words for a second. And basically, I think that was one of the best episodes of this season, Spend. I mean, also, we saw Abraham, he was basically killing walkers with a mace, which was hilarious. You know, a mace is one of those things with a ball, with an iron ball with the spikes. Like, how the hell do you get a mace in the apocalypse? And, like, still pretty cool kills. Because he's in the construction crew now. So, yeah, because in Alexandria, everybody is a certain job. Daryl, he's a runner, he's a scout, he looks for people. Rick, he's a constable, so he's Michonne, they're constables. Carl, he's a student. Glenn is a supply runner. Eugene's the scientist, obviously. Rosita's in medical health or whatever. Maggie, she's what I want to call the governess. I don't know why, it just sounds cooler. I mean, she's not gonna go all governor and turn evil, but I don't know, because Deanne, who's the leader of Alexandria, she was a state governor or something like that. And prior to the apocalypse, so I don't know. That's why I like to call it the governess. I don't know. Just sounds a bit cooler. So I think that was the best episode, one of the best episodes of season 5, Spent. And then you have episode 16, Porch Dick Dies. For those who don't know who Porch Dick is, he's Pete. He's Peter, Pete, whatever you want to call him, and he's basically Jesse's husband, douchebag husband. Jesse, you have a Jesse, Pete, Rick love triangle going there that is very similar to what happened with Rick back in seasons 1 and 2 with Shane and Lori as well. So that was pretty interesting to see how that kind of played out. And Porch Stick dies. He basically gets shot in the face, which was hilarious. But he does take out Reg. Pretty similar to the comics. In the comics, you have Porch Stick. He basically takes out Regina. And then Douglas, he says, Rick, you could kill Porch Stick now, basically. Basically, same situation. They just kind of gender swap some of the characters. So Reg dies. Deanna says, yeah, you could kill Porch Stick now. And boom. And then one of the most surprising things about episode 16, which made it such a great episode, is that you have Morgan back. Morgan, he was such a great character. He got teased throughout the season with after credit scenes in episodes 1, episodes 3, episodes 9 and 10, 8 and 9, I believe, as well. So he was teased throughout the season, and then his introduction back into the series was him taking out the Wolves, the introduction of the Wolves, and him taking them out in one of just the best ways possible. He takes them out with a fucking bow staff, Donatello style, or Splinter style, whatever you want to call it, or Kill Bill style, with a bow staff, which was just fun, which is funny. So yeah, this season was packed. Now, they gave us the worst episode of The Walking Dead, in my opinion. Hell yeah. However, they give us some of the best episodes of The Walking Dead. Yes, you can't deny that. You start off Ramble with No Sanctuary, episode 1. Take out the cannibals in episode 3 with 4 walls and roof. Have one of the most intense episodes ever with Spend in episode 14, one of the most intense and fun. And then, have one of the best season finales we've had since season 2 with Conquer. I'm pretty sure we've had a pretty good season. I mean, yes, we did have some pretty shit episodes. Remember, probably number 1 there. Remember was pretty bad. Coda, that was a bit of a disappointing mid-season finale, but that was still pretty good. Cross was a little bit disappointing, but that was still pretty good. Consumed, that was okay, that was pretty good. Yes, we did get some that were a bit disappointing in my opinion, and we did get the worst episode in all of The Walking Dead in my opinion. But we did get some of the best episodes of The Walking Dead, and also, yeah, we got so much development out of so many characters that I don't think we've ever expected to get development out of, such as Carol, I think is a major one, and Morgan by that matter, because we saw development out of Morgan, but the fact that we got introduced to him again was pretty interesting. Now, we did get some of the worst survivors in The Walking Dead this season by a long shot with Father Gabriel, with Nicholas. Hell, Eugene, we always knew he was a bad survivor, but here he actually toughened up, which I'm gonna get to in like 5 seconds. Most of the Alexandria survivors. Here's the thing with Alexandria. Most of them are pretty suck-ass survivors. There's no other way to put it. Most of them are pretty suck-ass survivors. Either they're not well-equipped mentally, or they're not well-equipped physically. Father Gabriel, he was a perfect example. He wasn't well-equipped either way. Now, Alexandria, the Alexandrian survivors, some of them can shoot. They can shoot guns. They can, but they leave their own people behind. Some good examples of that is Tobin and Nicholas and Aiden. They left. They don't. As long as they survive, they're okay. They don't care if anybody else dies. There's the scene with Abraham in the construction crew, and there's this girl Francine who, she was surrounded by zombies, and Tobin says, "Okay, everybody leave. I don't give a shit about her. Everybody leave. Let her die." And Abraham, being the soldier boy that he is, he gets a mace and starts whacking zombies left and right. And then he goes to Tobin, and he's like, "That's the thing you guys do here. You leave people behind." And Tobin's like, "Yeah. As long as we could shoot, I don't give a shit." And so either way, Alexandria, in one way, the Alexandrian survivors, they're not prepared. Either they're good survivors physically, but bad survivors mentally, or bad survivors physically and good survivors mentally. Because Pete, he was actually a pretty good survivor when you think about it. Mentally, he was a pretty good survivor, also because he's a doctor. Deanna, mentally, she's a good survivor as well. I even go as far as to say that that Aiden and Spencer, her 2 sons, are good survivors mentally and physically to some degree, but they're not really prepared for this type of world. We also got the introduction of the Wolves, and that was pretty interesting. Basically, what we've seen lately is that we've seen a remix of some of the antagonists from the Walking Dead comic book series. We saw with the Marauders from the comic book series, they got turned into Joe's group, and we saw how dark they kind of were at times. The cannibals, the Termites people, they were in the comics. They were just a group of random cannibals, but here they basically have their own factory where they're luring people in. So that was interesting. And here it seems like we're gonna get a remix of Derek and the Scavengers. And I always wanted to see how they would transfer the Scavengers into the TV series for some reason. I don't know why. I just want to see how exactly that would be introduced. So I think having Derek and the Scavengers now marking their territory, so to speak. I thought that was pretty interesting for the TV series. Honestly, because there's a quote in the comic books that Derek says, little pig, let me in," or something like that. And obviously, that's like the big bad wolf and 3 little pigs. At the end of the season and their introduction, you have Little Red Riding Hood. Basically, he's this man, random survivor with a red hoodie, and they kill him. So it's like the wolves, and you have Little Red Riding Hood. You know what I mean? So I really did enjoy that. Overall, I did like the symbolism throughout the season. I did like the foreshadowing with Morgan and the wolves specifically throughout the season. And yeah, overall, it's just a pretty great season. Now, good survivors in Alexandria. There's not many good survivors in Alexandria. As I said before, they're either good mentally or physically. There are exceptions throughout. I mean, there are some that are good both ways, but only to some extent. And I think I'd only give that to. I mean, really, I think the best survivor there will have to be Aaron. Straight up, and the best survivor there is probably Aaron, and that's because he's the one who's always going out. I mean, Aiden, he was a decent survivor. But the thing is that he was so he would just do things this way. He would like without repercussion. He was impulsive, which is what got him killed. Nicholas, he was impulsive, and despite the fact that he is actually a somewhat decent survivor, he's still pretty bad to have on your team. Pete, he's a decent survivor, pretty bad to have on your team. Same situation. Most of them are decent. When you think about them, their characteristics, they're decent survivors, but they're really bad to have on your team. Even Eric, he's a really bad survivor, which is kind of ironic because his boyfriend, yes, they did introduce Case. His boyfriend Aaron, he's actually a pretty decent. He's actually a pretty good survivor. So yeah, overall, I really did enjoy the season. Really did enjoy season 5. Now, is it the best season yet? I don't think so. I don't think it's the best season of The Walking Dead. Now, what is my favorite season of The Walking Dead? I have no idea, actually. I'm gonna do a discussion topic later this summer or whatever, discussing that. But right now, I think it has to be somewhere between the first 3 seasons. I'm gonna be honest, probably within the first 3 seasons. Season 4 was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was better than season 5. I can tell you that. I actually do like season 4 a little bit more than season 5. But I have to look at the exact details, or maybe I like season 5 more. I don't know. I have to look at the exact details. I don't know. I don't know exactly. I'll make probably a list in top 5 seasons of The Walking Dead. So yeah, overall, did enjoy it. Was it the best season? Hell no. Did it give us some pretty great episodes? Yes. No Sanctuary, 4 Walls and a Roof, Spent, Conquer, some of the best episodes we've had. Did it give us some pretty shit episodes? Remembered for sure. That's the first one I could think of. Cross was decent. Coda was decent. Self-Help, Consumed, they were decent. So yeah, overall, pretty great season. Not fantastic, not decent, pretty great. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, and 6 being decent, I'd give this an 8.5. 8.5 out of 10 is what I'd give season 5 of The Walking Dead. That's basically it for this review. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, and comic book reviews. Comment down below on your thoughts on the season. Have you seen it all or not? And which was your favorite episode of this season? What's your favorite episode? For me, it'll probably be No Sanctuary, the premiere. Yeah, Carol going ramble, basically. That's pretty fun. I mean, it was pretty cool to see Atlanta again. I will admit, that was pretty cool to see Atlanta again. I think having Carol go all ramble on everything, I think that was the best thing of the season. So yeah, subscribe, like the video, share on Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, or whatever you guys prefer. Remember to follow me on Instagram, Daniel Mart, in which I post stuff about movies, TV shows, and movies, and comic books as well. And that's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.